His name is Danish Siddiqui, a 38-year-old. He's a star photographer for Reuters based in India, New Delhi, and he was awarded a Pulitzer Prize in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So Reuters actually put out his, this report on its webpage. And so as the Taliban's campaign to reconquer Afghanistan was gathering pace in June, hundreds of people were dying in the fighting and the tens of thousands were fleeing. Siddiqui actually decided to go and help cover the stories. He told one of his bosses that if we don't go, who will? So that's according to Reuters.
Mm-hmm.
So Siddiqui arrived at a base of the Afghanistan Special Forces in the southern city of Kandahar on Sunday, July 11th. Then there he embedded with a unit of several hundreds elite commandos tasked with flushing out Taliban fighters who in the previous few weeks had been steadily capturing territory. So on Tuesday, July 13th, Siddiqui joined a successful mission to rescue a policeman who was surrounded by the insurgents. And his convoy was returning when it came under fire from rocket-propelled grenades. The Humvee he was traveling in was hit by one of the RPGs. 3 other vehicles were destroyed. Siddiqui captured on video the flash and the jolt as a grenade struck the side of his vehicle and the commandos up front drove through the barrage. His images and the reporters of this mission went on to the Reuters wire, and he later shared the action on Twitter. So as a journalist, actually they have the option to withdraw from the field if they see fit. So Siddiqui at that time wrote, "Don't worry, I know when to pull the plug." So 3 days later, on July 16th, while on another mission, Siddiqui and the 2 Afghan commandos were killed in a Taliban attack. So that rout was an early milestone in the collapse of the Afghan military. In the weeks that followed, the Taliban just conquered the city after city, and eventually they collapsed the Kabul. So Reuters said that although some of the details about Siddiqui's death was still not clear, but the information provided by various channels is sufficient to outline the circumstances of the incident. Siddiqui had an accident while taking pictures at a market. A senior Afghan military officer said that Siddiqui was first injured by a rocket-propelled grenade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then evacuated to a local mosque for treatment. But later, because of the chaotic retreat, he and the other 2 commandos were just left behind, and they fell into the hands of Taliban. Afghanistan security officers and the Indian government officials told Reuters that based on the photos, intelligence, and inspections of his body, they believe that he was mutilated by Taliban after his death, but Taliban denied it.
Mm-hmm.
So Siddiqui's death really underlines the risk faced by the journalists, both in the international media, in the local outlets, especially now in Afghanistan. So actually, I talked to a non-profit, non-government organization whose mission is to protect free press and the rights of the journalists, called the Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ. And right now, they have been trying to help those journalists who want to flee Afghanistan. So I talked to CPJ's Asia Program Coordinator, Stephen Boltz, and he told me that they have been fielding hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of daily pleas from journalists from Afghanistan trying to get help to get out of the country. And they are trying to just see, kind of vet those requests to see, to identify who should they help and who can they help. So what really is the situation of especially the Afghanistan journalists? So he told me that since the U.S. military set up a perimeter around the Kabul airport, right? And so inside the airport is safe, but outside the airport, it's not safe. So what does that mean to the journalists?
We know a number of journalists who have tried for days to get past that Taliban corridor outside the airport, and they failed. They've been forced to turn around. And we have one case today in which a journalist was nearly shot. The Taliban pointed their weapons at him and actually fired and nearly hit him. Now there are some journalists who have been able to get through that corridor and to board flights and leave the country. But for the most part, the Taliban are not, allowing that process to go forward. This is a great concern. The U.S. government has said it's trying to negotiate a free passage agreement, but that certainly is not, to the extent that they're having those talks, it certainly has not been implemented. So it's a very dangerous situation for Afghan nationals to try to approach and enter the airport.
Mm. Yeah, so I was curious and asked Stephen about when their organization started to receive those requests from Afghan journalists.
Well, we've been getting a few requests, as early as January this year, and then it began to pick up in June and more rapidly in July, and in this month, we've just been flooded. I mean, literally hundreds or thousands of journalists and plus their families are seeking our help to try to leave the country. It's heartbreaking in a way because the media industry has been a great success in Afghanistan. It was supported by some international donor money and U.S. government money, but it's a thriving media environment on television and online, and it's a terrible shame to see that destroyed.
So with the current situation in Afghanistan and in the U.S., how does their rescue work going with this committee to protect the journalists?
It's difficult. It's a lot of work. The thing that the Committee to Protect Journalists is famous for, or is reputed for, is very thorough research. And so we're taking the cases of many journalists and trying to document their situation, the threats that they have received. And we've developed priority lists for journalists who we think should be evacuated. So that work's going well. The problem is we're getting so many requests for help in the hundreds, many hundreds and thousands, in fact. We're presenting these cases to the U.S. government, which has been very cooperative. But so far, we haven't seen too many results of that. I think the U.S. government, it's been very difficult for journalists to get into the airport, and it's been difficult. So it's also a period of great uncertainty right now.